All right, so you found StarAtlas. There are multiple things inside of the StarAtlas universe. We have Sage, HoloSim, and now the Ue5 version of the game, which has the shooter, racer. The game is in early access, as you can see on the screen right here. So everything in the game can change at some point or another. If you don't like it now, you could like it later. If you like it now, you may not like it later. That's just how it goes with games like this. If you want to give it a try, come to StarAtlas.com. You put in your email address, you get an access code. Take the access code, go to Epic Store on your PC, and then redeem that code to get access to the game. Once you have access to the game, you load up StarAtlas for the first time. You are going to see a screen just like this. You have a wallet. In the game, you can make a wallet, and it does save your progress. But what I would suggest is that you get a wallet made outside of the game and import it into the game. You can store your crew members and your ships and be able to use them inside the game. I'm going to mainly be talking about the shooter side of this game right now, or within this video, so I'm not going to be talking too much about the racing side of it. You can start off with the default stuff. Once you unlock your wallet, then you have access to the characters and ships inside of that. Inside of the crew that you have, you're able to select 3 favorite characters to use on the menu that you can switch between depending on what game mode you're using quickly. Some game modes allow you to switch inside the game. Some game modes are just dedicated to the one that you have selected. If you play Surge, whenever you load into the game, it's going to automatically put you into a team. So if you're wanting to use one of the Oni character, you are not going to be able to do that if it picks Mud or Ooster inside of Surge. After that round is over with, you can switch characters, but what it tries to do is to balance the teams in the beginning. I do hope that they implement that if you select your top 3, that no matter which one is selected, depending on the game mode you go into, you can level up that character. So if you have a Mud, Oni, and a Ooster, it allows you to select those 3 as your favorite. And if you get into a game of Surge, then you level up those characters no matter which one is selected. That's one thing that I would change to make it easier for everybody. But anyways, when you start the game, you have these characters. These are all the default characters. Whenever I started, they just had the 1, so you were only able to level that one up unless there was a specific game mode that was going on that allowed you to use these characters. You couldn't select them. So now you can select them and customize the loadout once you have them leveled up. So if I go into customize, I can change the loadout if I want. So once you get your character selected, you do have 2 things to know about each one of these individual cards, is that the rarity affects how much XP you get, as well as the prestiges that you have. You level it up from 0 to 20. Once you hit 20, you get prestige 1, which will be this little number right here. That's like an exponent. On this Mirrors, I have prestige 3. Each prestige you get gives you 5% extra bonus XP up to I believe 25%. So you can get, after you get 5 prestiges, you have 25% extra bonus XP, and then you have your card itself. So yeah, once you have your character, customize it. If you have a level 1 character, everything is going to be pretty much locked down. You don't have no grenade slot. You have only 1 extra weapon slot, which you can't use because you will not have any extra weapons unlocked. And then as well as your Bubby, Soul Jet, and Palm Jet. And with these 2 weapons, you can definitely do things with these 2 weapons. The downside to not having the power-ups, obviously, is going to be movement, which movement is going to be a big thing in this game. It's going to be something that I'm going to talk about as extensively as I can. And I'll give you my take on it and what I do. And I can't say that I'm the best player in the game, but I'm not the worst player in the game. I'll be able to teach you something if you're new to it, and maybe even if you're been playing it for a little while, maybe you'll learn something new from me. What I do run is I have regular pistol, obviously, because I can't change it, 2 grenades, the gain energy auto rifle, and then on my 3rd weapon is the default kinetic auto rifle. On my power ups, I use the Eco Palms. It gives you cheaper boost, which I'll talk about when we get in the game. I use the Sprint Souls, which gives you a faster sprint speed, so strafing makes it a lot quicker. And on the Bubby, I use the Tank Bubby because it gives you extra shield. The regeneration is slower. Everything's slower with this one, but you get an extra 50 shield, which can be quite important in some fights. Most people are going to be running this. And then you have your weapons. If, for instance, I want to use the sniper rifle, it takes up 4 slots. So you're taking up 4 slots. You can only use either 2 pistols and an AR, or a sniper and a shotgun with the pistol. Power ammo is a thing in this game, so if you're using 2 power weapons, I don't know how it splits the ammo. We could test that out. So yeah, pick and choose your weapons. First thing we're going to do is we'll go to a training and gunplay trainer. You have to click to pull your weapon out. This is where I was going to talk about the settings. Go into your settings, in game, first tab, and make sure you turn on toggle to sprint mode. Everything else is subjective, whatever you want to do. Sensitivity is kind of weird in this game, as you can see. I'm rocking 500 DPI. My look sense is 0. My aim down is 25%. If you don't have toggle to sprint on, you have to hold to sprint. which gives you a lot more speed, but then you end up walking like this when you're not holding sprint, which there's a bunch of different things that you need to do, a bunch of different buttons to press while you're playing the game that you may not be able to focus on holding sprint at the same time. Toggle to sprint, you turn it on in the beginning of the game, and if you don't press it again while you're running around, you will never have to toggle it again. It'll be on. If you die, you don't have to retoggle it. Turn your sprint on toggle, strafe like a madman. If you strafe left to right, it's very predictable what you're going to do because most people do it at the same intervals. So they'll sprint in the same position. So like to the edge of this and then to the edge of this, they'll be sprinting like this back and forth. Very easy to track that. Very easy to strafe at the same speed and keep shooting them. Anyways, if you're strafing left to right, this is going to be the first thing that you need to learn how to do. Pick something, you know, in the texture or whatever to focus on inside of training, and then practice strafing and tracking at the same time. Strafe, track. That way you can get used to keeping your crosshair on target the whole time while you're shooting. Most people are going to be moving around, so you're not going to have a static object to practice on, but it is better to practice this. You get the hang of it, the muscle memory, to get used to it, and then once you get into actual games to track real players, it makes it a lot easier to get in the groove of that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything you need to know here. There's not much else to learn inside of the gunplay trainer. It just gives you practice and ability to test out each gun. So movement, practice strafing in random order. It may not necessarily be random, but in a way that looks random or feels random. If you're just strafing left to right, very easy to track. It's going to get you killed against players that are of good skill. If you strafe in reverse, you get more speed than strafing left to right because you don't have that inertia that whenever you switch directions, it's just instant. So like if I'm strafing left to right, it's a very short strafing distance when I'm running backwards, but then I incorporate turning my mouse at the same time. So like while I'm tracking, I'm also turning my mouse, and then also make sure that you're strafing forward as well sometimes to counter strafing backwards because you don't want to just be on your back foot the whole time instead of just left to right. So you can kind of like a circle, I guess. You can follow the keystrokes. Hold W, press A and D, hold reverse, press A and D to make it feel a little bit more fluid and harder to hit. One thing I would suggest is in most fights you get into, you're not ADSing in fights when you're up close with somebody. So if I'm within, I mean, I'll shoot somebody across the map like this without ADSing, but start off, don't do that. Just get into engagements up close at a decent distance from your opponent. Strafe, track, shoot. Keep it all hip fire. It's pretty accurate hip fire, especially if you're close enough. You're shooting body shots, not trying to shoot somebody in the face. I usually try to keep my crosshair around like in between the shoulders. That way that if I do get any shots that are blooming out, that I get them to hit almost every time because the bloom doesn't open up that much. So like the base of this is pretty close to shoulder width. If I'm strafing, keeping it at about shoulder distance, most shots are going to be hitting. If you also time your shots, you know, let's say you're transitioning from left to right movement, not shoot, and that break in the shooting will close that bloom a little bit. You're not getting as much, so your shots are a little bit more accurate. If I'm standing still, if I'm timing my shots in between, they're pretty much dead on where the crosshair is instead of them being bloomed out like this if I'm just shooting. But typically it's pretty accurate no matter what. If you're shooting wherever inside the, like I said, the bloom area, you're good. At this distance, pretty much every shot's going to hit if you keep on target. So make sure that you are, you know, you get that down. Again, you can shoot people from far away like this. Most of the time you'll still hit. Maybe time your shots, spray like that instead. If you stand still and spray, it's pretty close. Not perfect, but you're still going to be hitting shots at that distance. Once you got those mechanics down, then you can start adding a little bit more, like maybe some flair to it. And if you jump and hold the space bar after you jump, you have to jump and press it again and hold. You boost, or hover rather. You hover. And then if you are in the air and you press forward or any other direction and press shift at the same time, then you fly like this. Once you gain that momentum, you can stop doing that. You'll still have forward momentum, a decent amount. But the benefit to having the eco palms like I was talking about is that the boost cost is significantly lower. So like I can boost a lot further than I can hover. So like if I try to hover up to here, most of my bar is going to be gone by the time I get up here. I'll say like that much. I almost fully ran out right there just from that little distance. Let's let it build back up again. and I'll boost up there and you'll see the difference. Most of the time you're going to be boosting rather than hovering, and I'll give you some scenarios where maybe hovering might be important. Let's go to boost, and I can let off right there, and I've only used 2 bars instead of almost the whole thing. So boosting is crazy if you have the eco palms on. If you're hovering and you try to use the boost, you can't use it. As you can see, I'm pressing shift, it's not doing anything. Once I'm hovering and then I start boosting, I could let off the direction and it'll boost straight up. So I'm using the boost to travel up. So I'm using a lot less and I get, you know, a faster momentum rather than trying to do what I just did is going to use almost, it'll probably use the whole bar just to get up there. And I don't even think I'll probably make it, but we'll see. So this is going to be just hovering. Let's see how much of the bar that I use just to get up there is the full bar. Just to get up to the top of this is 1 full bar with the like basic jet fuel multiplier or the hover juice consumption or whatever you want to call it. But if I use the boost and let off my direction, I used more than I needed to right there, but about half. I could get up here and I still have plenty of momentum to go above and shoot somebody if they're sitting up here rather than just like peeking them and getting shot in the face. If you do not use your boost before you hit the ground, you're going to take quite a bit of damage from that height. So the other thing you can do is while you're strafing, you jump and then use your boost at the same time. And you get a decent amount of momentum. So it's kind of like the dash. It doesn't use as much fuel. It's easier to track though. So like this is much easier to track than if I use the slide. And then you also have on control, you have your dash, which uses quite a bit of fuel as well. It's almost half. So if you're not using the dash souls, then you're going to run into issues where you run out of fuel in fights only after two dashes. And also the same thing with the slide. You can only use it twice before it runs out to make sure if you're not using those dash shoes that you're, you know, not going crazy with the slides and the dashes. If you do like that gameplay, then switch over to the dash shoes rather than the sprint shoes. But for me, like I said, I like using I strafe a lot in my gunfights, so strafing, higher sprint speed, better strafing. Makes it easier to avoid getting shot and then taking the advantage in the fight. So yeah, I'll give you a couple tips on hovering. If you are in a position on the top here, let's say somebody's chasing you, you're going for a shield, somebody's chasing you. You can run out the back or the side depending on what angle they're coming from. If they're coming from this way, you might want to try to circle back. If they're coming from this way, you might want to circle back this way. If they're pushing straight, you can do either or you could go out the back and you kind of just hover around as they push in for the shield. Or you tap your space bar. You can kind of stay in the same position and get some shots in on them. One other thing you can do, and this is on any ledge, it doesn't really matter where it is on the map, is you can jump off of the ledge, hop off the ledge, and you hover down below. They think you're going to drop down, you go back up. That way you can get your shield or whatever you need, health or grenades or ammo. If you are being chased and you know the person is flying behind you, if you're not super low and don't need to get away, if they're boosting, they can't shoot at you. You can't shoot while you're boosting. But if you boost and turn and then hover backwards, you could shoot at them as they're chasing you, get some damage on them, either get them to peel off, you know, like get away from you, not keep following you, so you have a chance to get away, get some boost back, and get what you need, whether again it's shield or health or ammo. The mini map is very helpful. Let's say you engage in a fight in the outer circle here and you need to get away, you slide away or whatever. You can hold a wall like this and you'll be able to see what direction they're looking at. Then you can determine on what you need to do here. You can hold them because they're going to see what direction you're looking at as well. You can hold them, get boost back, get some shield back, and then fly away if you're too low, or re-engage. Just remember that if you're gaining shield, they're also gaining shield. So if you guys are both low, if you're confident enough, you should be re-pushing that fight. I do suggest that any fight that you get into, that you don't run from it unless they're at a huge advantage, like they got the jump on you, they've already done damage, and you haven't got a single shot off, then maybe dip off to try to get a shield. But if you guys are 50-50, if you guys both see each other at the same time, or if you get damage first, you should not get out of that fight until it's finished, whether you die or not. Again, KD is not that important in this game. The only thing that it does is give you bragging rights, I guess. But again, those things could be reset at any time. So what I would suggest is that you engage in the fight, stay in the fight until either you lose or the other person loses that fight. 9 times out of 10, Running is not going to help in this game. Usually if you do run away, again, like I was saying earlier, if you're flying this way and somebody comes, they're going to stop flying. They're going to come through here. They're going to fly through. They're going to stop flying, and then they're just going to shoot at you as you're going away. So most of the time, you're not gonna escape. It's better to get the kill and then try to get shield or whatever, or die and respawn and then go right back. Third partying is going to be your friend all the time in game modes, in solo game modes especially, because if you can third party, then you're going to usually win the fights. You at least get one kill off before you die, or possibly both if they're both weak. So third party when you can. It can be annoying if you're the one that's getting third partied, but it's very, very good as an offensive tactic. Positioning, like I said, learning the maps. If you're playing search as you spawn, you needed to be just jetting straight to the center. Try to get some info as you're coming in, so you can look either way. You could look over at blue, you can look over at red, and you can see if they're pushing out or not pushing out. A lot of people like to play around the edge in this map. I think being as aggressive as possible is your best bet. Not only is you're gonna get more engagement. The more engagement you get, the better you get at fighting. The better you get at fighting, the easier it is for you to win fights. So the more fights you can get into, the better. Again, like I said, don't worry about if you die. Not that important. You can get a bunch of kills and die a few times in the game, and it equals out at the end of it. You know what I mean? You'll win more if you're being aggressive than if you're being non-aggressive. Make sure you're keeping track of your mini map as you're flying around, so you can see if somebody's trying to hide on height. If you're standing in this area and you can see that there is a player somewhere in this area, then you know that they're either going to be up here, depending on what it looks like on the map. You can stand up here. There's a lot of different ledges that you can get up onto. Can't get on that one. I think maybe with Poonap you can get on that one. You can get on this ledge right here. Opposite side you can get over here. So if you're looking at the mini map as you're flying through this area and you see somebody in this general area, you'll know that they're up on this ledge, or maybe they're up on that ledge. There's a bunch of different places. So just look around the map, fly around, go into a test. Check all the places that you could possibly be hiding or good positioning. You can hide up on these statues. Pretty clear view between red and yellow. Get to the center one, you can do the same thing. This gives you pretty good advantage. Spawn camping, obviously frowned upon. It shouldn't be something that you do, but it's your game. You play how you want to play at the end of the day, but just know that everybody's going to think you're an asshole if you're sitting there spawn camping, especially if you're a better player than the people that you're spawn camping and are able to just keep continuously killing them. Definitely don't be that guy. So yeah, man, we'll pretty much wrap it up there. Like I said, main things to focus on are going to be learning to strafe and track at the same time. Once you are able to do that pretty well, then you can move on to more advanced strafing forward, backwards, and also turning your camera using your jetty boost to be able to move around the map quicker, and also break cameras. Again, it's not as useful with these things. There's other advanced mechanics that you could do with them. Try to show you a little bit. It's easier like near a ledge. So if I slide off a ledge, you can do it on flat ground too, it's just not as consistent. If I slide off a ledge and I jet at the same time, you get a lot more speed. You know what I mean? Like, I used my slide and also jet boosted, and I used about half of my fuel with the eco palms. So it's definitely useful. Same with dashing. If you dash, you can fly as well. So yeah, that's going to pretty much sum it up, guys. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. If you found anything helpful, let me know in the comments. If there's something that I did get wrong, also let me know in the comments. Hit me with a like, subscribe if you are feeling generous today. And yeah, we'll call it. And I'll probably make some more videos on this game at some point. So stay tuned for that. And I guess we'll catch you guys in the next one.